It should come as no surprise to anybody as Jamie Dimon makes a fool of himself when he talks about Bitcoin. He's got a little bit of an interest against it because he is a big bank and the control and stuff that they have. It goes against what Bitcoin can do. So he's got that whole thing going on. But there's a clip going around of him in a hearing saying maybe the dumbest thing, just saying that the government needs to shut down Bitcoin. They would shut it down. If he was the government, he would shut it down, which just shows you how much he has no idea about Bitcoin.
I've always been deeply opposed to crypto, Bitcoin, etc. You pointed out the only true use case for it is criminals, drug traffickers, anti-money laundering, tax avoidance, and that is a use case because it is somewhat anonymous, not fully, and because you can move money instantaneously, and because it doesn't go through, as you mentioned, all these systems have built up over many years, know your customer, sanctions, OFAC, they can get bypass all of that. If I was the government, I'd close it down.
Okay.
So not only does he show that he knows absolutely nothing about Bitcoin, he shows he knows absolutely nothing about his own business, because we'll look at some of the things that JPMorgan's done and the fines that they've paid, because there's been no bigger entity that supports the terrible stuff that he says is going on in Bitcoin than JPMorgan. So he knows firsthand about everything going on, but he really shows, so, oh, if I was the government, I would shut it down. Sorry, Jamie, not an option. So, it's just funny to see these guys squirming, because this is the, other previous regime, basically, these banks. And they're all just squirming because they're about to lose a bunch of power if people start to go into Bitcoin. And that seems to be the trend that's going on. And you can see them nervous as anything. But if you look at JP Morgan, themselves say, they should be a saint, right? He says, oh man, Bitcoin, it's for criminals. It does so much bad stuff. And we would never, JP Morgan, I'm sure if they're preaching that message, they would never even imagine doing anything in that realm of possibilities, right? Well, if we look at what JP Morgan has paid in fines, tells a different story. Obviously, him saying the true use cases for criminals, well, JP Morgan has been fined over $36 billion since 2000. That includes a whole range of things, from manipulation of metal markets like silver and gold. Banks do that all the time, pay fines all the time for that. Financing for pretty bad things. I mean, Epstein, he's in their client list there. He did a lot of work with them. So Jamie Dimon knows firsthand of what you can do when you're skirting around doing whatever you want. And he shouldn't be some moral high ground. He's standing on a moral high ground saying, like, Bitcoin, it's so bad. Oh, you can't even imagine how bad it is. It's crazy bad. We got to ban it. Well, he does the exact things he's talking about are bad. Even better, we can see he gets community noted. So it goes even deeper, right? So this is his video from Yahoo Finance. And the community note on here just says, less than 1% of the trillions transacted annually in crypto are illicit. The UN estimates that annually between 2% and 5% of global GDP, which is 800 billion to 2 trillion, is used for illicit activities and money laundering through the traditional banking systems and cash. So if you're a criminal, you want to use the banking system and cash, not Bitcoin. So if we look at this and pull up this, if we see, we'll take the low end, right? We'll take the 800 billion that they say, the low end of that. So 800 billion, and you're saying 2% of that, right? We'll take all of the low numbers. That is $16 billion used for illicit things, the things that you're complaining about that are so terrible that you're saying that these regulations, they fix everything. OFAC, all of the KYC, it fixes everything. There's nothing going on in the traditional banking system except for the low end of $16 billion worth, and that goes up to 5%. It just gets worse and worse. If you use the 2 trillion, it just gets even worse. So of the banking system, all the regulations that they have, it doesn't stop anything. And one of the reasons why it doesn't is because these guys, these banks, Jamie Dimon, need to make money. This is basically just The cost of doing business, right? They do all the money laundering stuff, operate with all those guys, get that cash, earn interest, make money, manipulate markets, make money, and when they get caught, pay a fine that is substantially less than the money that they made and move on with their day. Just the cost of doing business in their eyes. So no, the regulations don't do anything. They don't stop these big banks from doing anything. So it doesn't matter. So to point to them and say, we got to shut down this Bitcoin thing. God, can you see all the criminals using it? And when you actually dig into the numbers, no criminals want to use Bitcoin for crime for the biggest reason being it is a public ledger. It is transparent. Anyone can go on there, look at what's going on. If your wallet gets out there, everyone will be staring at that wallet, tracking it through everything that it does. You will be caught. Law enforcement, police, they love people who use Bitcoin or criminals who use Bitcoin. It's the easiest way to trace all of the transactions. In a bank, they can't do that. They need warrants. They need stuff to actually be able to go and look in these things and operate with the banks. It's not something that they can just go and observe. So the traditional banking system is a much better area and place to commit crime than Bitcoin is. And I think deep down, Jamie Dimon knows that. And we gotta ask ourselves, is this what he's doing? Is he saying, up front, Bitcoin, the worst thing in the world, but behind the scenes, buying it? Because it wouldn't be the first time JPMorgan or Jamie Dimon's done that. They do it all the time, front-facing, very aggressive, saying it's the worst thing in the world with a bunch of assets, behind the scenes, buying those assets as people sell them off. I mean, Bitcoin is not selling off, but before doing that, and then, come out and be like, oh, well, actually, they're pretty good. And then when the price goes up, you bought at the bottom because you created the bottom. So wouldn't be the first time JPMorgan was doing this, if this is what he's doing, and it wouldn't surprise me if it was. And if we want just even more examples, right, we can just keep going. This is a different bank, U.S. bank, I don't even know how to pronounce that, but laundered $378 billion for Mexican cartels, 45% of Bitcoin's market cap. So, which one is the preferred use case for criminals? It's not Bitcoin. It's not even crypto, right? But these guys just don't care, right? They never did care. They only want to get more possession, more power. They don't actually care that Bitcoin isn't used for crime. It's easy to say that and say Bitcoin's so bad. Criminals use Bitcoin. That's it. But that stick is coming to an end, right? People aren't buying it anymore. Maybe before, a few years ago, you could say that, and majority of people would be like, okay, yeah, this Bitcoin thing is kind of sketchy. But now you've been saying it and saying it and saying it, and different people have come out. Elon Musk has talked about Bitcoin supported. Jack Dorsey's doing that. Michael Saylor, you got a bunch of more figures. Even Larry Fink of BlackRock has come out supporting Bitcoin. So you're losing that edge. You can't say only criminals use it when a bunch of these highly respected figures are coming out in support of it because they're not criminals, right? So when people see you saying only criminals use it, and then these highly respected people come out and say, oh, I actually really like it, you lose that narrative, and now you're screwed, and that's the only thing they're hanging on to. They just want power. They just want a mass surveillance state, and hopefully that never happens. But Jamie Dimon definitely showed that he knows nothing about Bitcoin, or at best is just trying to scare everyone so that he can buy at a better price, which is neither of them are good. But that's going to do it for this video. As always, don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next